Can you hear me all okay? Brilliant. Okay. So my first program was when I was 9 years old. My first software program was when I was 9 years old. And this was written in a language called GW Basic. I tried to impress my friends by writing a 40-question quiz in GW Basic about cricket. And I was the rock star of my school at that point of time. Since then, I tried to do multiple things in technology. That was my first love. In college, I understood the importance of two absolutely critical technology shortcuts. They're called Control-C and Control-V. And that was my journey into technology. Then I joined industry, and one of the first principles that I got there was never forget to back up your code because you can lose it. And that's what I did, sort of a copy of my code even today. And that's my journey into technology. I'm an electrical engineer by profession, and so machine design, transformers is what I like, but my first love has always been algorithms and data structures. And that's what I have done for a living. When I joined industry, the languages that I speak suddenly changed from Hindi, English, Marathi to VI, SED, Awk, Gawk, grep. And for those of you are technologists who understand what that means, I did not even have a graphic operating system like Windows in front of me. I was given a Unix operating system on which I checked mails using character user interface. And so for somebody like that, to get into the technology world was a dream come true. I still vividly recollect an incident where I was traveling by the bus, and the latest program that I was writing about multi-threaded technologies, and I quoted, unmindful of the passengers, can you get your child to kill your parent? And I got shocked looks, only for me to then explain that I was talking about threads. So that's how my sort of growth in technology has been. And I tried to remain successful in spite of tools like spreadsheets, Word programs, and slides. So all those tools did not deter me from my first love, which is code. But what am I here to talk about? So while technology is an always changing constant, and so from the days of C and C++ to now algorithmic trading or natural language processing, what has stayed constant with me is some of the behavior patterns in technology, and which is what I'm going to talk about. So what do I mean by behavior patterns in technology? So I'll tell you those with examples. So my first behavior pattern is called the first jump. The first jump is something that happens to a student who has learned software programming or technology in college and then gets to experience, as I say, the first stint of technology. So fast forward 4 months into my job, and I was sent to Bangalore to implement what I call a multi-exchange order trading platform. And I still recollect the day when I met the head of that stock exchange broker-dealer platform. And here we were 2 trainees with barely 4 months of experience. All we did for a living was socket programming. For those who are new into this, socket program is essentially getting packets of data from one terminal to the other. And we were introduced as experts in broker-dealer platforms. And so we froze in front of the head dealer there. And she then introduced us to a full platform of about 150 brokers. And there was this small software technology control room in which me and my partner were based. Fast forward to the specific day where I got to learn about my first jump. So we were implementing what was called as a TCP/IP on lease line and X.25 on fixed packet width protocols for the National Stock Exchange. And all I was thinking about in terms of technology was how can I get the packet size to reduce so that the efficiency of my messaging platform is increased. And little did I know that, frankly, nobody cared about the technology that I was implementing. So 438 bytes was the size of my packet that I was trying to reduce. And one fine day, we said, we've done enough user acceptance testing. Let's put this into production. And as it happens, and for those of you who have done this, things never go up to plan when you put them in production on the first day. And on the first day, we put this thing in, 9:15, the stock exchange bell rings, and 10 a.m., I successfully managed to stop an equity order trading platform. Now, if you know what that means, that essentially means 150 brokers get up, and I was glad they didn't have arms in their hands, because otherwise we would have been shot. They essentially encircled us, two software technologists there, and was like, "Kya hua?" And we were like, "Okay, give us some time." Now, time is measured in milliseconds when you're developing an equity order trading platform. I managed to stop it for a full 6 minutes, 20 seconds. And so that was my claim to fame. And then somehow we managed to get it. So for, again, people who know those details, we use shared memories, counting semaphores, and we got that platform back again. And I successfully went to the head of the broker-dealer platform and said, "Listen, ma'am, we managed to recover all of the lost packets. We only lost 3 packets. We only lost 3 packets," and almost to sort of get a shabasi from her. And then one of the brokers was ecstatic, and he stood up and shouted, "Arey, lekin wo ek packet mein mera 50,000 ka Infosys ka order tha." Yeah, and that was my sort of key learning in terms of the first jump, that it's never about technology, but the experience about technology. Fast forward again, about 10 years after, when I was working with a quasi-regulatory body, which was affiliated to the central bank, or the Reserve Bank of India. And here, I had sort of changed my profession from being a developer. I had tried to become a business analyst for a few years, and then into a product head. So here I was working in a completely unknown environment, in the sense that for those of you who know how government organizations function, they are very structured, they're very organized, and things don't change at a very fast pace. But when they do, it makes a big impact. So we were doing what is called as the settlement platform for interest rate swaps. Now, interest rate swaps is a financial instrument where you take 2 trades. One is a trade of a fixed income instrument where you invest money and then you get fixed interest. The other is a floating rate instrument where you invest money and an external benchmark like the LIBOR or the MIBOR tells you what is the interest rate you're going to get. And so this settlement system was supposed to hedge the risks, and quite a key development into India's interest rate swaps environment. So huge responsibility, and I had a big team. So we were pretty confident that we were going to get this. We had all the right ingredients. But for some reason, and these are, in hindsight, I can now talk about the mistakes, but we overcommitted, and we sort of agreed to their deadlines. Fast forward to the board of directors meeting, where me and a few of my team leads were supposed to present to the chairman and board of directors in terms of our progress. And tell you what, it is what I call an epic disaster. So we were asked questions. There were sort of tabled motions in terms of what we did and what we did not do. And by the end of the day, I was certain that either I'm going to lose the job or I'm going to lose the assignment. And I was only waiting for what worse would happen. And in the evening, about 5 p.m., I get a call from the chairman's office. And I can tell you who that is, because that's an illustrious figure, one of my most respected mentors, Dr. R.H. Patil. He's no more, but he's the founder of the National Stock Exchange and also the NSDL and CCIL. So Dr. Patil calls me into his office and asks me, "Suswar, what is wrong?" And I'm like, "Sir, we have our things ready, but we weren't able to explain, and so I apologize," and all of the standard things. And he was like, "There's nothing wrong. I think the only thing that you missed, which is my second behavioral pattern, is an equality complex." And what he told, I can still not forget. He said, "Most of you IT sort of people either have a superiority complex, and if people have worked with database administrators or system admins, you know what a superiority complex means, which essentially means I know everything and you know nothing, or an inferiority complex where you're essentially taking orders from your users and doing whatever they ask for." And Dr. Patil's message was, well, what you need here is an equality complex, which is treat your partners He did not even use the word users or clients. Treat your partners as equal technology players. Explain them the risks that you see and the pros and cons of the problem that you see, and you will get their affirmation. Now, easier said than done. It still took us 3 months as a team to get that organized and get the ideas initiated. But the key learning, and my second behavioral pattern, was the equality complex. That then helped me also to move on, because after that I worked on another global mega change project, which was building a mutual fund platform in India. And I was the junior most, but the equality complex helped because I was willing to take calculated risks, and I could conquer the fear of the unknown. So equality complex is my second behavioral pattern. And the third, and in that order of priority, or ascending order of priority, the most important, was when I was on this big project, which was the launch of money market mutual funds. And money market mutual funds are a big deal across the globe. And we were supposed to build a real-time modular platform. We had the right team. We had the right kind of budget. We had UI, UX designers. We had specialists. The only problem was that the entire team was inward-looking. Inward-looking to an extent that we had agreed on stretched deadlines. We had agreed on giving them the world. And in technology, that means giving them everything in version 1.0. And what followed was not exactly pleasant, because we soon realized that a team of about 40 people were working endless days, 12-hour weekdays, most working weekends, sleep deprived, stressed, and yet not able to meet the deadlines. And at one point, we just didn't know what is going wrong, because we were working really hard. There was progress being made, but the deadlines not met. And I almost went into a depressed state for a period of time. And then one day, it suddenly dawned that I'm probably missing the basic principle of information technology, or which we call as the simplest method when things don't go well, which is just reboot your system. And so that was my third behavioral pattern, which is rebooting the system, understanding and not trying to solve a problem, and frankly, just sit outside the problem and try to understand what's going wrong. And so what helped is a principle which I call obliquity, which is try solving the problem without being in the problem. And so completely ridiculous things helped. I did not realize that I had a joy and love for rowing, because during my New York calls, I used to row in a boat from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., because that would just help me focus my attention somewhere else when there were stressful calls going on. I did plantation events with organizations to relieve a little bit of this organic stress. And frankly, after 3 months of rebooting, which is just looking at the problem from a different perspective, I think as a team we succeeded. So for 3 months, what we did is we just said, listen, this project isn't going anywhere. So instead of banging our head on this problem, let's just break out. Let's just close this to a conclusion, and let's try doing something else. And I'll tell you why that is hard. It is hard because it hurts your ego. It is hard because it hurts your ego as a software developer. As a software developer, you know you can do it, and you can. But the problem is, in reality, in life, at times you have to get beyond the ego and try to understand the whole picture. And so rebooting was my third behavioral pattern. And with that, everybody, I'm going to end. Thanks for being a fantastic audience. Looking forward to talk to you.